Once again, I look forward in giving a presentation to you folks today. So, greetings, and it most certainly is a pleasure to have some time with you today. First things first, I'm Richard Walker, and I wish to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to make one of my presentations I have composed over the years. Let me introduce to you my professional background. After 30 years, I retired from the medical field. I began my medical career while attending Indiana University and I majored in allied health. After IU, I joined the United States Army and served in the Medical Corps and ran the clinical pathology laboratory of the 121st Evac Hospital Dispensary Unit in Incheon, Korea. Incheon, by the way, is near the center of North and South Korea. We were just a few miles away from the DMZ, demilitarized zone. And that was where MacArthur landed. So you probably, if you understand a little bit of history about Korea, understand where Incheon is. And during this time, while I was in Incheon, Korea, and serving with the 121st AVAC Hospital Dispensary Unit, running their laboratory, uh, this was also during, as I mentioned, the Vietnam War, and Korea was a combat zone also. After my military service, I supported and ran private laboratories and hospital laboratories, supported their efforts. During my career, I worked with national, also in international companies, both state and regional operations. I took my retirement from the international company of GlaxoSmithKline Clinical Pathology Division. My presentations are sponsored by Home Choice Network, where we believe in independence for seniors and peace of mind for families. This company is a home care agency, which is licensed by the state of North Carolina and regulated by the Department of Health and Human Services out of Raleigh. We have been in existence for over 16 years. By the way, I have held the position of president of Toastmasters International Club of the Sandhills here in the Pinehurst area of North Carolina. This is a worldwide organization dedicated to public speaking and leadership development. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. And my presentation today is body immunity and water contamination. They do play a role in a combined effort, and I will explain that as we go along. What is body immunity? Well, it's a key factor that fights various illnesses, and one to fight an illness is to eat the proper foods. That's one of the key ways to enhance the strength of your body immunity and boost your immune system. A proper diet is the first step, and this cannot be more emphasized than the COVID-19 virus that is presently spreading around the world. We will find, and we already have, that we are basically on our own with our own strength of our immunity system because we do not have a specific cure to handle it other than our own body immunity systems. We have some aids to assist in helping us, but it's our immune system that we have to rely on. And hopefully there will be a vaccine out to where that will help eradicate or hold back this terrible illness. So what I'm saying is we need to eat immune boosting nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, which are obtained from vegetables and fruit. For example, carrots, kale, and apricots for beta carotene, as well as sweet potatoes, mangoes, spinach, broccoli, squash, and cantaloupe. Beta carotene converts to vitamin A, which is essential for a strong immune system. It responds by helping antibodies respond to toxins and foreign substances that are stated by the professional dietitians. Vitamin C increases blood levels of antibodies and helps to differentiate lymphocytes. For example, a lymphocyte is a white blood cell. This helps fight infections in our body, which helps to increase the strength of our immune system. A good source for vitamin C is as follows: oranges, strawberries, broccoli, grapefruit, kiwi, Brussels sprouts, red and green peppers, cooked cabbage, as well as cauliflower. Vitamin D regulates the production of protein that selectively kills infectious agents, including bacteria and viruses. So vitamin D is very important. And this was emphasized by Dr. Michael Holick, who is an expert on vitamin D research from the Boston University. We have to keep in mind that during the winter months, we are not in the sun as much as we are in the summer. Therefore, we may acquire a weakened immune system due to the lack of vitamin D that sun gives us. Consequently, we may need to eat more foods with vitamin D and or take a vitamin D supplement. Remember, we need to keep our immune system strong. Here are some good sources of vitamin D as far as our diet goes: beans, nuts, cereal, seafood for zinc along with beans, as very important, chickpeas, lentils, tofu, fortified cereals, seeds, wheat germ, oysters, crab, lobster, beef, pork chops, and yogurt. Now, I mentioned fortified cereals. What does that mean? Well, fortified cereals means that we're increasing and or adding essential vitamins and minerals to improve the nutritional quality of the product we are eating, such as a particular cereal. What are some of the cereals that have this strong fortified base? Well, whole grains, for one, like oatmeal. And oatmeal is also high in fiber. High fiber is very important in your diet. Also, there is the cereal identified as post-great grains, crunchy pecan, or kashi, Goleen Crunch. So there are cereals out there. You read the labels and see the value of what may be added with fortified support in vitamins and minerals, thus boosting the overall support of your immune system. Keep in mind the value of protein. Protein comes both from animal and plant-based sources, such as nuts, seeds, beans, lentils, as well as beef and chicken. Now, there has been a discussion, and I'm sure you've heard about probiotics and prebiotics, which are additional consumption of various types of bacteria. There is a very strong question in the medical field as to the amount of money you would spend and the value that prebiotics and probiotics may have. You're really back to what Mother Nature has set in place for us, which is nothing more than eating the right type of foods and healthy foods, which I've just mentioned several. So let's keep in mind that we are what we eat. Now, let's talk about the contamination of our bodies. North Carolina, for example, has listed different chemicals that are in products all around us, and I'll go over a few of those in a moment. And the chemical identification such as PFAS, this is perfluorinated man-made compounds. And I'll just give the abbreviation of some of these chemicals, and you may have read or heard about them. The PFOA or the PFOS. Okay, what's that really mean? Well, these chemicals have been used to make carpets, clothing, fabrics for furniture, paper packaging for food, and other materials that are resistant to water, grease, and stains. These chemicals are used by the fire departments to fight fires and military bases, but they do contaminate our food and our drinking water as an independent chemicals. So treatment via structured activated carbon filters with assistance in absorbing these chemicals works well. So we do have means to try to pull these chemicals out or protect the human base from being contaminated. And at the same time, you have to remember, chemicals are chemicals. And chemicals improperly handled that get into our food supply or water can cause various illnesses like cancer, for one. And I'm sure you've all heard about that. Now, ion exchange of media also works well in removing PFOA and PFOS. So various media can assist in removing contaminants in the water. Keep in mind that our modern way of life brings about contaminants, yet we have techniques to correct, which I've just mentioned a few. But it continues to go on as we contaminate our planet. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about the contamination of plastics, and you've heard about how plastic by the tons can be found in our oceans, in our lakes, in our river streams. And plastic dissolves, it deteriorates at a very, very slow rate. But as it does so, near the end of its full deterioration, it comes in microplastic form, which is so fine that organisms in the food chain, in the oceans, consume these plastics. Then we in turn consume various fish, lobster, crabs, etc., which that consumption that's been contaminated goes into our body. All right. Now, recently, I've come across a new challenge and concern that is taking place around the world with microplastics. This you may find hard to believe. Now, microplastics are now being discovered in the air. And as wind blows across the deserts and across various forests and lands and communities, microplastics are being picked up in the air and transported wherever that air flows. And as you are aware of, air flows all the way around the world. The air we're breathing today at one time in China, Pakistan, India, we all are exposed to microplastics that now there's a concern we are breathing some of those. We have to keep in mind that our planet is like a spaceship. You go up into space in a spaceship, you have to take care of that spaceship because that's all you got. And that's how our planet is. We have to think about that. And the planet's not getting any larger. And the planet takes millions of years to clean itself. So we have to think about how are we taking care of our spaceship called the Earth. So I have a deep concern because of the medical field that as we contaminate our planet, we also are contaminating ourselves. And I have 3 presentations that I can give on water, which will help us understand the status of water, both in contamination as refining and healthy water. Hopefully someday we can cover some of those presentations. All this contamination that they tried to be controlled is by EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency regulations. And the interest and the concern of the public is controlled with many aspects of the EPA. And we can't count on just the large corporations helping to control contaminations. They're after profit. So we must keep in mind that PFAS and other compounds, which I've mentioned before, without proper regulation and control, can cause, as a reminder, serious illness, such as cancer of the kidneys, testicles, thyroid and liver disease, and lower the fertility of women, along with creating birth defects. 1/4 of Americans drink water from systems that do not meet safety laws. And that's something to think about. Over 80% of our American water delivery systems are over 80 years old, which in turn enhance the contaminated status of our water. There are many contaminants that work their way into drinking water. Some health effects are neurological problems and development disabilities in children, for example, lead. And then the interference and the reduced production of hormones in our body is caused by perchlorate rates. And a perchlorate rate is a chemical that's in propellants such as house aerosols. And this increased the aspect of cancer, bladder or kidney problems, which can be involved with contamination from arsenic. For example, here in North Carolina, they have, from time to time, various chicken farms where they have the production of thousands of chickens. Well, the defecation of chickens is high in arsenic. This washes down into the ground, and it can end up in the groundwater and have high arsenic levels, which can be very detrimental. And I, in turn, have done testing and found high rates of arsenic in the Carolina area. So it's very important to keep in mind the value of having fresh water and treated water properly. The EPA regulates more than 90 contaminants, but there are more than 100 that are not regulated. And regretfully, this present administration that we have now here in 2020 is deregulating a lot of the EPA standards, and that's detrimental to the health of the public. That's a fact. That's just plain fact. And we need to keep strong regulations for the health of the public in place. The majority of this information that I've gone over today came from Ria Shun, who is president of the Natural Resources Defense Council, and identification is NRDS. Ria also held a post with the United States Department of Interior. According to the United Nations, 2.1 billion people worldwide lack access to safe drinking water. Why do I place such subjects together as body immunity and water contamination? Well, our immunity system is affected by the contamination that resides within our water and our body. For example, we have to keep in mind that 65 to 70% of our body is water. Now, if we're contaminating that 65 to 70% in our body, we've got a problem, and we have to watch that. The function of our bodies is a lot like the function of a car. I've used this example many, many times. Do we not use clean, new oil in our car when we have an oil change? Of course we do. We want to get rid of the contaminants broken down in the old oil and put in fresh oil. Do we not put clean gas in our car? We don't want to have gas with water in it or contaminant. Car's not going to run good. Why do we use oil and gas filters in our car? Well, that's why I suggest from time to time that maybe you need to have filtration in the water that you drink. And this is part of the municipality challenges in trying to remove contaminants through what they call flocculation as well as filtration. But do we not enhance the longevity of our car by protecting it and taking care of it? Are you folks telling me that your car has more value than your bodies? Stop and think about it. You're concerned about taking care of the car. We need to be concerned about how we take care of our bodies. Why should we not take the needed steps to care for our bodies as we do our car, putting in and using proper filtration, clean water, and healthy food. We can replace our car, not our bodies. That's something to think about. If I have an opportunity, I would like to give more presentations regarding water. I have 3 other lectures on water alone. Water is a very interesting subject, and I think you will find some surprises in some of the water lectures I have. I cannot make your life for you. Your life is in your hands. And I hope you've enjoyed this presentation as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. We at Home Choice Network wish to take a moment to once again thank you for allowing us to spend some time with you today. It's always a pleasure to have time with you. And as always, we at Home Choice Network take great pleasure in helping folks see the joy that each day holds, as well as still discovering how special it is to understand our body immunity and how water contamination can affect our health. Again, I wish you a great day.